What is up, guys? Eric here from Real Film Reviews, bringing you another movie review, this time for the new Gary Oldman film, Darkest Hour. Darkest Hour is directed by Joe Wright of Atonement fame, stars Gary Oldman, Lily James, and Ben Mendelsohn. It tells the story of the days before and the couple weeks after Winston Churchill is appointed to the position of Prime Minister in the United Kingdom during World War II. Ironically, a major plot point in this film is actually the plot of the Christopher Nolan film Dunkirk, which came out earlier this year. However, it isn't entirely revolved around that, as the film focuses heavily on Winston Churchill's personal life and also what he did in total as Prime Minister to help alleviate this struggle and also push Great Britain into the forefront of this war. Now, to no surprise, as Gary Oldman has already been obtaining a ton of buzz in terms of awards, especially the Oscars. He is the frontrunner and favorite to win Best Actor this year as of right now. He just won Best Actor in a Drama at the Golden Globes. His performance in this movie is one for the ages, in all honesty. This is one of the greatest performances I've probably ever seen on film. It ranks up there with some of the greats by Daniel Day-Lewis and Philip Seymour Hoffman because he truly transforms himself into Winston Churchill in this role. Smoking the cigars and the accent and his general manner of tone in the way he speaks, all of it matches it so perfectly. And I really think that while some people could attribute some of it to the makeup and the fact that they did all the makeup on his face to make him look so much like Winston Churchill, but that doesn't take away from Oldman's performance. That makeup just adds to it. It makes it that much better. It's similar to Steve Carell in Foxcatcher in that a lot of people kind of attributed to the fact that that role was held in such high esteem because of the makeup done to Carell. However, Carell's performance in that movie is actually what is so amazing, and that's the thing. Oldman in this film gives the best performance of his career and one of the best performances of the last decade, probably. And that's not to say that the supporting cast is lacking here. Honestly, everyone in the supporting cast did a really good job. Lily James, who played Churchill's assistant in the film, was really phenomenal, and I think that she's slowly climbing that ladder of success as she was in Baby Driver earlier this year, and I think that this was a much more classical performance, and she really nailed it. And then along with that, I really enjoyed Ben Mendelsohn as the king. He really sold the role as being someone who didn't necessarily want to be on the throne, but had to be and had to make these extremely tough decisions, and he's also in what is probably my favorite scene in the whole film. The script for this movie is obviously a major high point for it, as it was able to take advantage of Churchill's great writing that he did in his life. We get to see them utilize the speeches that he wrote that everyone remembers so fondly and have Oldman perform those speeches in an amazing manner. And then with that, it also has a very good pace and has some light comedy thrown in there, and it honestly just all worked so well. It wasn't an extremely dry historical biopic like it probably should have been. If you were to tell anyone you want to watch a movie about Winston Churchill, most people would be like, that sounds super boring. But this movie had a really great pace, and it never got too in-depth to make it feel boring with all of the politics that were going on. And then Joe Wright's direction was really solid. I think he's shown through the years that he has a very interesting way of filming things with the colors that he uses throughout the film, and this movie has a very somber tone throughout the entire film. It's a lot of grays and blacks and just very dark shadows throughout the whole movie, and it worked really well. And along with that, the film has a lot of very slow and beautiful cinematography in a lot of sequences that really surprised me, because this film should be filmed in a rather standard manner, you would think, with it just being a biopic of Winston Churchill, but it's honestly filmed in a phenomenal manner, and I was really impressed by the way it looked. My only issue with the film is that it seems that it was too hyper-focused on the beginning of Churchill's administration. While he was Prime Minister of the United Kingdom for 5 years up until the end of the war, I really think that this film focused too heavily on just the beginning. He did a lot of things to help the war effort in defeating Nazi Germany, and while it was very interesting to get such an in-depth perspective of that beginning time, I would have liked to see them go farther in his life. I think there were scenes in the film that could have been trimmed down or left out if they would have decided to go farther into the war effort to learn more about Churchill and more about what he did, because honestly, I would have loved a more in-depth biopic of him as Prime Minister from beginning to end. Since he was only Prime Minister for such a short period, that's a very easy amount of time to fit into a whole film rather than focusing so heavily on just the very beginning of his administration. I'm gonna give Darkest Hour a B+. Honestly, for a Winston Churchill biopic, this movie is more interesting than it really has any right to be. It's filmed beautifully, and Oldman's performance is enough on its own to take the time to watch this film. If you like history or you like Gary Oldman, I highly recommend checking out this film. If you watched Dunkirk earlier this year and really enjoyed that, check out The Darkest Hour, because it shows you the other side of what was happening at that time. Well guys, as always, I'm Eric. If you enjoyed this video, please do like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought of Darkest Hour, share everything we do here on Real Film Reviews, and I hope to see you guys later.